All right, we've got ourselves a brand new MS660 clone chainsaw. Can you believe that? How good are these clones getting? That's not it. That's the real deal. The clone's back here in this box. I haven't seen it yet. We're going to check this out together. Neo-Tec NS892. Not really sure how they come up with their numbers. Clone of a 660. I guess it is 92 cc's. That's where the 92 could come from. But where's the 8 from? Is 8 how many engine hours they'll last? I don't know. We'll find out. We're definitely going to put at least that many on there. Let's see. Double box. It's pretty nice. Hopefully this thing isn't damaged. It's packaged pretty well. Got some foam in there. Got a real nice pair of work gloves that are almost guaranteed to make sure you do not have a secure grip on your chainsaw while you're using it. I'm not crazy about that, but who cares? Side cover. It's got the larger style, like West Coast side cover. Flares out at the bottom. Obviously, it's got the larger spikes, chain roller. Oh, wow. It's got your big rescue style starter handle on it. Kind of neat. Scabbard. Mix bottle. Oh yeah. 2-stroke engine oil, fuel mix ratio 40:1. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure to do that. Chainsaw. Neo-Tec 892 instruction manual. Took care of that. Oh yeah. Let's see, what else we got in here? And a toolkit. There we go. Get this box off the bench. We'll dig into that here in a minute. 5 steps to the perfect 2-stroke fuel blend. Oh wow. 25:1 for conventional mix oil and 40:1 for synthetic mix oil. Well, we're going to run 50:1. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Because if it won't live at 50:1, something's wrong with it. If there's something wrong with it, I want to know. That's why I bought it. I've never had a clone chainsaw of any model in my life. Let me bring you down here. We'll get some better angles, maybe some decent light. There's the clone. Here's the real deal. What do you think? First impressions right off. The wrap on the handle feels nicer on the OEM. Obviously, they're pretty close, right? It's a clone, so it's not going to be that different. But nothing just jumps right out as different right off the bat. For now, we're going to set the real deal aside. Later, I want to do some videos specifically comparing this brand new 660 clone with this like new actual Stihl MS660. I haven't seen anybody else do this. I've always been curious about it. But personally, I'm not big on Chinese clone stuff. I've had enough issues with single Chinese parts in the past that I've always imagined if you made an entire chainsaw out of those Chinese parts that we have so many issues with, how can it possibly live up to any kind of expectations? So, obviously, I don't have a lot of expectations. We'll see how it goes. For now, we're going to set the real deal aside. This video is not comparing them. We will do more videos directly comparing these We've got some long bars we can put on them. We're going to cut with them. Maybe try to find some nice oak logs or something to sink them into. Compare them apples to oranges, even though it should be apples to apples, right? This is supposed to be an exact clone of this, so we'll see. You know, it might impress us. It might do really well, and it might be a pretty darn good saw. But I'll go ahead and tell you, you can buy 4 of these clone saws for what you're going to have to spend on a nice OEM 660 if you can find one. So, are we all dumb for paying the money on those OEM saws? Maybe we'll find out. I did buy the protection plan, so I figured if we run it enough, it should fly apart at some point. Hopefully the camera's rolling when it does. And we'll see what that protection plan is worth when it does. I'm not going to do anything crazy in modifying it. I want to give it every chance in the world to live. But we will tear into it a little bit and look at it before we really do much with it. So I want to take a good look at it, see if there's anything that's just obviously defective on it. That way we can try to catch it before it completely flies apart. Real quick, let's see what else comes in the box. Nice, pretty handy little pouch here. That's actually really nice. Oh wow! So yeah, we've got a 404, 7, and a 3/8 rim, which is pretty nice. We'll put the 3/8 rim on it because that's what I've got on the real deal 660. Looks like some mountain hardware. Oh look, we've got a plug for the compression release. We might go ahead and put that in there because I suspect we're not going to need that. This is our inner felling spike. We do have an 8mm T-handle, that's really nice, and a T27 Torx T-handle. Pretty nice bonus. I wasn't expecting that. Of course, we were expecting to get a bar wrench with it. And then look here. We have a chain tool. Of course, we can use this on our electric chain grinders to check the profile on our wheels. We can check the gauge of our drivers on our chain, check the file sizes. Those are always neat to have around, especially if you've got a bunch of different size chains around and you have a hard time keeping up with them. It's really nice to have one of those. We've got 2 different piston stops and a set of ring compressors. I guess putting a piston in one of these clone saws is regular maintenance. Apparently, if they come with the tools. I don't know. We'll see. This is a pretty disappointing looking little cast wrench. It's an 8 on one side, a 10 on the other. Kind of feels pretty flimsy there. Yeah. I'm not really sure what we'd use that for. But these T-handles, they are pretty decent quality, really. And that's really nice. If you don't already have T-handles, if you're going to fool with steel chainsaws, you'll want a 27, you'll want an 8mm, and you can do most things on your saw with those. So, it's pretty nice. I think, first impression, there's no surprises. This one came in with nothing broken. It was packaged pretty well, so I would expect that it's going to be the case for others that would be ordered as well. The controls seem to operate as they should. Nothing's really jumping right out at me here as being wacky. So that's your unboxing. First impression's not bad. Pause this real quick. We're going to get resituated. I'm just going to pack up these extras we'll go ahead and throw our felling spike on the inside there and just kind of give it a quick once over. So let me get this thing readjusted. All right, we're back. We've got her situated here on the bench. We're going to go ahead and throw this inner felling spike on here. Just go ahead and use our tools from our little toolkit it came with here. Oh, brother. Where's our long reach magnet? Yep. I'm sure if you've watched any of my videos before, you know how much I love a good long reach magnet. And this is going to be a good example of why. We can go ahead, get our bolt stuck through there, felling spike sticking through. Just take your long reach magnet. See what we're going to do here. Just get her started like that. Helps keep you from dropping them. The other fine thread M5 screw from our kit, of course, is going down here. Like that. A little bit of gunk in those threads. I can feel this thing tightening up before it was seated, but it went all the way down, nothing broke. Not sure if there's a little bit of their paint down in there or something. Golly, what's going on there? Is that even an 8? Wowee. Yeah. So the 8mm side of this wrench it came with is more like a 9. So don't plan on using that. I'm going to get an actual wrench real quick. Sorry if I sniffle a little bit at the camera. The weather's been so wild here lately. Well, yesterday it was 70 degrees and we had an earthquake in central Kentucky. Today it's about 20 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So yeah, I'm a little congested. It's all right. I can go ahead and tell you right now this wrench is scrap metal. So we're going to go ahead and toss that in the trash. I don't care if it says 8, it's not. That's all right. First disappointment. We'll see how many more disappointments we get from this saw. The bar nuts to the side here. Let's go ahead and that kind of hangs back. We'll see if that loosens up as it gets some run time. We'll go ahead and pop our clutch drum off here. I just want to have a look in here and see if anything stands out as being an issue. Man, look at the slop on that sprocket rim. That doesn't fit well at all. Interesting. Definitely got some crud in here. Some metal filings inside the clutch drum there. The bearing is about as dry as they come. Definitely going to lube that up a little bit. Nothing else in here really stands out is being an issue, we'll just grab our T-handle here, give a few of these a check. You hear about people buying these things and everything's loose, so I'm not going to really tear it apart. We're not going to check the oil pump and that stuff, but I am going to grab us some grease. We'll grease up that clutch drum bearing. You don't need much. I like to do this Fred Flintstone style. I use this super lube. I've been using that on clutch drum bearings for a while now. It's good synthetic grease. It stays put in there pretty well. Do this Fred Flintstone style. Yeah, dabble, do you? Don't need a whole lot on there. Anything at all is going to be more than what came on it, right? Makes you wonder, do they realize that that needs lubricated? Or are they just cloning a bunch of parts and throwing them together to rip $300 out of your pocket? Who knows? The rag. I'm gonna get these filings out of this clutch drum. We don't need those. I mean, look. See those metallic pieces on there? I doubt this thing's going to need our help to wear out. It's probably going to do it on its own. Remember putting your clutch drums on. This little notch in your clutch drum lines up with your oil pump worm gear. I'm not even going to attempt to show you down in here because I know with this camera it's just not going to happen. But you get the idea. There we go. Clutch drum's rubbing. I think that's the face of the clutch just a little bit. Drop my E-clip, long reach magnet for the wind. There's a lot of different ways to put these E-clips on. One of the easier ways is a pair of needle nose pliers. Slap it down on there. We don't carry those in the woods. We carry bar wrenches in the woods. So pop her on there just like that. Before you do, make sure to put your sprocket rim on. We're going to go ahead, like I said, we're going to put our 3/8 rim on there, which does not fit any better than the 3/8 does. We might play around with that later. Stick some of these Neo-Tec rims on the OEM clutch drum on the real deal over there. Vice versa. Stick a OEM rim on this Neo-Tec clutch drum over here. See if they fit any better. So, nothing stands out as an issue in there. Everything looks pretty normal. Kind of interesting that these felling spikes are plated. I think I remember in the ad saying they were chrome plated, and that could be a super cheap chrome plating. Maybe. Hopefully it's not the same chrome plating in the cylinder, right? We'll see. I'm not going to put the clutch cover on right now. I have no reason to. What I do want to do, I want to give you all a little look under the bonnet here. Right? Isn't that what Europeans call under the hood? I don't know. Maybe I watch too much YouTube. Filter cover does have a summer-winter chamber plug there. Otherwise, nothing else really stands out. It's pretty normal looking. That's interesting. There's an O-ring under the filter. or over the filter, I should say, on the stud. I don't know that that's a spot you typically have an issue with dirt getting in, but handle feels a little wonky compared to OEM. Definitely have some casting marks in here that, you know, kind of screams made in China. I don't know. Kind of want to take a little better look in here. What do you all think? You want to see what we're dealing with? Wow. Just noticed how that drops off. We'll have to pop the cover off the real deal over there one day and see if it matches. I don't remember 660s dropping off like that, but also haven't really been in that 660 over there much because it's an OEM saw, and other than regular maintenance, you don't really have to fool with them. Hopefully this one comes somewhere close to that. Alright, looking around the carb box here, everything looks complete. Nothing looks out of place or out of the ordinary. It's interesting, they've got one of the little Echo style fuel vents just poked down in the vent hole there, which is, that's not a problem, but sometimes I'll do that on Stihls, especially your older Stihls. I like replacing the fuel vents with that style. It's just a little bit better than what was available back then. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if you can see here on our kill switch, there's a little piece, some kind of plating flaking off there. Man, not the best quality casting in there, but we all know this is a clone saw. We're not gonna act surprised over little stuff like that. Otherwise, it looks like it's all there. We'll just go ahead and pop this back on. How do y'all feel about fueling this thing up, seeing if it runs? I mean, I'd kind of like to do that. Wouldn't you? You get on the internet, everybody says that these things are tuned very rich out of the box. I'm not going to run the screws down to see where they're at. What limited experience I have with aftermarket carburetors is due to the lack of consistency and precision in their manufacturing. A turn and a quarter on this screw is not always equivalent to a turn and a quarter on a Zama or a Walbro carburetor. So we're going to leave them where it's at. We're going to start it and run it. We want it to be a little rich for initial break-in. I want to run it some rich, let things wear in, see what it spits out. We'll go back later when we're really cutting and get it to a more reasonable tune. Of course, we're not going to lean it out and try to blow it up. What's the fun in that? We'll just put it, good work tune, just like we would with this OEM saw over here. Give it every chance in the world to live. I'll pause this real quick so you don't have to watch me throw that back together. I guess I should have pressed play a little sooner, guys and gals. Sorry about that. Went ahead and put the filter housing back together. Went to pop the fuel cap off, and it went rolling across the floor because its little tether was not in place in there. Looking in the tank, of course, it'll be really difficult to almost impossible to get this on that camera, but the seam in the tank is pretty nasty looking compared to some of the OEM saws, which again, it's a clone saw. We don't expect perfection on these things, right? Nothing looks out of place with the pickup. Got some plastic molding casting process laying around. Go ahead. Pop that thing in its home there. Oh, that one. Same way. I guess you, oh geez. Look at that. I just put her tether into its hole on the oil tank and the whole cap popped right out of the tether. Didn't take a lot of effort. But it seemed to be popping in there okay, so that might not be a big issue moving forward. Maybe it wasn't all the way seated. Who knows? It's clone saw. I mean, what do you expect? I do notice that this thing has a port here in the muffler cover in addition to the port in the actual muffler. I don't know, are we feeling curious enough to look at that? Yeah. Let's start first. What do you think? We'll tear into it later. Let me know what you think. I'm thinking the format of one video, really just deep diving into this thing, seeing how it looks. You know, go ahead and take the cylinder off of it, see what the plating looks like, see what the ports look like, you know, see what all that looks like. Then I think we do a separate video where we compare this to our real deal OEM 660 over there. If there's any objections, I'll listen to them, but I think that that's going to be about as good as anything. These things do come with these bottom plates on them. I know a lot of people like those, obviously, because they sell them. I've never had one. I've never found the need for them. I think that if you don't leave your saw sitting on concrete running, then you probably don't need one. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it's just one of those things that, you know, people buy a saw and they want to do stuff to it, right? Who doesn't? It's a new toy. Maybe that's just an easy way to let people do stuff to their saw, and companies can make a few bucks selling it to you. We're just going to check a couple more of these bolts here. Handle, AV buffer, muffler. So far we're all snug. That one's a little loose. Well, I say let's put some fluids in this thing and see if it starts. I'll gas it up. We'll be right back. I'll meet you outside. Alright, so what you had there, fired it up, let it run for a minute, set it down, let it idle for a couple of minutes to get good and warm. Just let it run for a minute. I pause the video. I'm certain that you don't want to watch us all idle for 3 minutes on video. Nothing eventful happened. Press play again, revved it a few more times. It seems pretty healthy. I've got to say, just so far, it seems to run how you would expect a 660 to run. The only thing I really don't like so far is this little skid plate down here makes a ton of racket. And that's going to drive me nuts. I'm probably going to take that off. Like I said, I don't set my saws in the concrete and let them run for 20 minutes. I don't think I need a skid plate under them, right? So we'll probably take that off. Other than that, it seems healthy. It oils. It seems to do everything it's supposed to do. No other weird little wonky issues. So I think that's a pretty good stopping point. That covers unboxing. First impression, not bad. I'm a little surprised. It seems to run how it should. I've still got my reservations on longevity, but out of the box, seems okay. So, check in the future. We're going to do more videos with this saw. I want to run it a lot. If it fails, hopefully this camera's rolling, because we all love to watch things fly apart. Hopefully it doesn't hurt me when it does, right? But no, we'll see. Stay tuned. We'll do a little bit more in-depth comparisons between the two. Try to note if there are any differences in the designs. Likely not. Most likely it's just a clone. They did their best to make the 660 just exactly how Stihl did it for all of those years. We'll do some videos, comparing cutting. I know that Neo-Tec claims that this 660 clone makes the exact horsepower that Stihl advertised the 660 at. I've got my suspicions that Neo-Tec doesn't have a dyno, and they figure since they copied everything else, it's going to make the same power. I don't have a dyno, but I've got a 36-inch bar. We can stick it in a piece of oak. That'll tell us a lot, right? So we'll see what we can do with that. Probably next video is just comparing the two, and hopefully, weather permitting, we can do some cutting soon. I really want to put some hours on this thing. If it's going to have a premature failure, I want it to happen as quickly as possible after the purchase. I'm going to have the best luck in getting some assistance from them if that's the case. But I'm not going to try to kill it. I'm going to use the same good quality fuel mix that I use in my Stihl saws. We're going to tune it a little richer to begin with, but then after a few tanks, we'll bring it back to a more realistic, just a good work saw tune-up. Not going to abuse it right now. We might in the future, but we'll give it a chance to live, and we'll report back. So until then, get off the couch, get out there and throw some chips. We'll see you next time.